Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. Thank you very much for staying tuned. We're having a conversation with the Director of Corrections, and very interesting questions so far, most of them relating to, of course, the legal system, and you have very little, well, or no control over what happens in the system. You're just there to administer. We have another call. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead with your question. Okay, that caller did not want to come on air. I think he has sent an email, so we'll try to get to the email a little later in the program. Obviously, from what we're hearing, there are a number of misconceptions about the prison system, about the legal system, about how things work. Whose responsibility is it to educate the public as to how things should be or how things work?
Every one of us within the justice system, every one of us within the protective services, we all need to educate people as to what all our roles are. And no one of us should push the educated part to someone else. As you know, I try to do my piece when it comes to the facility, and the justice system needs to do their part. And you as the media should do your part. You know?
Talking about rehabilitation, I mean, that was a focus moving from HMP to the Borderley Correctional Facility. The rate of recidivism, I always have issues with that word. They're still high. Are we getting better?
We are. We absolutely are. And I think I may have mentioned that before, in December of 2012, for the first time, we showed a higher number of first-time offenders than we did recidivists for the first time in 10 years in December of 2012. And we attribute that to strictly programs. And as we look at the offenders that did not come back, were enrolled in programs. So it's not brain surgery.
And it's programs outside of the prison? Or
no, it's programs within our system.
Okay.
So it's, you know, we know what works. We just need to do more of it.
We have a call. Good evening. Please go ahead with your question. Good evening, caller. Please go ahead.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was, it seems that whilst I was, hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it seems that whilst I was willing to speak to you all, I just tackled what I thought was going to ask, but, hello, you heard me?
Yes, we are. Please go ahead, caller.
But I'm hearing somebody that's speaking there.
That's okay, go ahead, we're hearing you.
Hello? Yeah, how do you differentiate rehabilitation and deterrence? Because to a certain extent, prison system has to provide some sort of deterrent to offenders. I mean, it's not all about rehabilitation, because it's not everybody that you can rehabilitate.
When you say deterrent, what do you mean?
I mean, what I'm saying is, you have some criminals that are hardcore. You know, somewhere along the line, there has to be some sort of deterrent, something to do to deter them from. Okay, what is the percentage of repeat offenders?
38%.
38%. That's high.
Yes, it is.
That's high. That's what I'm telling you. So rehabilitation may not be doing the job by itself.
Well, keep in mind, when an inmate comes to us, the court has taken away their freedom, their liberty. Okay. What are you suggesting?
No, I'm not suggesting anything, but I'm saying that as if the emphasis seems to be on rehabilitation. I think we should be bent on being able or being prepared to accept whichever works, depending on the individual that is being dealt with.
I agree. It needs to be personalized. All by trying to assist this inmate, it has to be personalized, and each inmate is taken on an individual basis.
Yeah.
But I don't really know if I understand what you're what you're trying to
yeah.
convey.
On the deterrence aspect
I think
of
you
it.
don't understand. You know, some crime has severe punishment, some have light punishment.
Mhm.
The same goes with what I'm saying. You cannot rehabilitate anybody. I mean, how the system deals with an individual, it depends on the gravity of the crime the person has
Right. So
committed.
you're talking about you know a system or a protocol to ensure that they don't want to go back there, to keep them away from the walls of the prison. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but our role is to keep them from society. We have them. The court send them to us to keep them for a certain period of time.
Yeah, but after that time, not returned.
After that, after they've served their time to society, what are you suggesting we do with them?
No. I'm not talking. I mean, when I'm on service time, then he has to be put out. But I'm talking while he's inside there. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and what do you suggest we do?
What I'm saying is that from what I'm hearing there, as if the emphasis is strictly on rehabilitation. My point is that does not always work.
Okay. All right, Carl. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we have criminals right now, and I hate to use that word. We have people who have committed crimes and
Offenders.
people who continue to commit crimes, and that deterrence does not affect them at all. There's some people, I don't know if you can discuss, you know, the gang environment within the prison walls, who go to prison because it is their time to be in prison. You know, people who are on the outside, and because of their gang rights and going their rightes of passage and what have you, they go to prison. How? I mean, there's no way that you can deter these people because this is part of what they do.
But I think the misconception is that and I think that's what I got from the caller, that the inmates are sent to prison for punishment, not as punishment. You see, I think that's the misconception, that they're sent here and we're supposed to
punish them while they're there, while they're
maybe
locked up.
flog them every day, or I don't really know, but that's what the implication was.
We have another call. Good evening, please go ahead.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Director, with all your years of experience, don't you believe that within him, borderless don't you believe that this facility should be subdivided into two sections, whereas you would have one area for maximum imprisonment, where you could deal with those hardcore criminals differently than then you have the correctional facility on one aspect? Because as the previous caller said, there are some people you just cannot change them. And to me, these people should be segregated away from persons you are trying to correct and get back into society.
And
All right, thanks for that contribution.
And they are, sir. The maximum security unit is segregated from the general population. And, I don't particularly know what, again, I think it's on the same basis of inmates come in for punishment. They're being sentenced to Waterloo Correctional Facility is their punishment. So I think that's, that's what we need to get across to you, that we've taken away their freedom. That's their punishment. And we try our best to change their offending behaviors. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, being locked up, I mean, I don't even lock up my dogs, keep them within the fenced area, and they're free to roam. Imagine a human being who has a superior mind to an animal being locked up in a 6x8 cell, and I spend most of his time there.
Well, I can tell you that I mean, it's easy to see the difference in an inmate who's locked up 23 hours a day and an inmate who's out doing programs. The difference is so obvious. Just think of, as you just brought the analogy of your dogs. If you were to lock up a pit bull in a cage for 23 hours a day and throw a bone at him 1 hour a day, when you do release that dog from the cage, what do you get? It's the same thing. You release an inmate without any programs and you release him on society, he's a bitter person. He's you releasing a really angry person on society. So is that what we want to do? Do we want to I would say 98% of every inmate at Borderley will eventually be back in society. Do we want to put out guys who are coming out with a vengeance to make up for having been locked up for 23 hours a day? That's not what we want to do. That's not where we want to go. That's why Borderley was created, to get out of that kind of an environment.
And you can rehabilitate. Well, just some final words from you. Focusing, of course, the conference that you have. The regional conference ends tomorrow. You've had a good week so far. What are you hoping to come out of it at the end?
Well, we're hoping to be a better organization. We're hoping to hopefully my staff at the Borderley Correctional Facility got a lot out of it from the workshops and the presentations they sat through. And I saw the enthusiasm in them today, and we hope to continue to develop that. And of course, through our partners, we hope to really build on that training, and most of all, we'd like to give them some exposure in some of the bigger facilities where they can actually see and work side by side with some really professional officers that they can rub off and see how officers who take pride in what they do, officers who look at this as a career, officers who believe in what they do and have seen that rehabilitation works, and to try to pass that on to them, because it works. We know what works. We have many success stories right here in St. Lucia. We have them, we can show them, we can spotlight on them. We know what works. We just need the additional resources to make sure that we spread the wealth around, because we're doing very small numbers. It's 3, 4, 5 here, and it's based on the numbers that we have. I don't believe that we need a bigger facility. I think for our population of 160,000, our prison is big enough. We just need to do some small things to bring those numbers down, and I think alternative sentencing is the way to go.
Wonderful. Mr. Hilary Herman, Director of Corrections and also President of the Association of Caribbean Heads of Corrections and Prison Services. Fantastic job, hosting that conference. So far, one more day to go. I'm sure that after tomorrow you'll need a long rest.
I need a break, yes,
to recover from all that planning, that whirlwind 5 weeks, and getting so many different corrections heads and prison service heads together in one location for this program. Well, thanks a lot for being part of Newsmaker Live. Just before we leave though, a program note. On Dollar Factor Live tomorrow, Delia asked, did you know that 1 in every 7 people in the world go to bed hungry, and more than 20,000 children under the age of 5 die daily from hunger? With a guest, Barry Innocent, Deputy Director of Agricultural Services, and Adam Toussaint, Deputy Chief Forestry Officer, she discusses what you can do to prevent wastage and create a better understanding of environmental issues and how it affects St. Lucia. That's Dollar Factor Live, 8:30 p.m. tomorrow. Well, join me next week at the same time for Newsmaker Live. We'll be here for Press Club on Saturday night. Until then, Clinton Reynolds, so long.